Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 478 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host as always. I'm Tyler. And joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Honestly, a lot of things. But the most important thing is I'm here, I have my health, and at the same time, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be taking a lot of sprinting type exercises after this week. Because it doesn't matter whether or not I'm in my 20s, my 30s, and stuff like that. I still can sprint like a fucking gazelle while I'm chasing after fucking shoplifters and shit.
I want to. All right, next year I want to have you and Tyreek Hill race.
Tyreek. Let's sure. Let's have Tyreek Hill and myself go forth and race one another, and just see me just being obliterated in the backfield.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be fine. We can go wrong. Yeah.
Okay, Gables. We want you to go forth and cover Tyreek Hill in this one play. We want you to go forth and prevent him from getting a touchdown. And all of a sudden, you just see me. It's that one gif of this dude just like being jumped over, and all of a sudden, you just get this stuff just sliding across his head.
Yeah. You race Tyreek Hill. I'll try to tackle Derrick Henry. We'll see how that goes for us. People don't know Derrick Henry is, he's a beast of a man.
Absolutely.
And Tyreek Hill has the fastest 40 time in NFL history. So, anyways.
And fun fact, he actually won a competition during the Pro Bowl and stuff with his shirt off. running people.
Fun fact, he likes to beat the shit out of his children. So, fuck that guy. Anyways, this is the DrunkNerds podcast where we talk about video games mostly. I don't like Tyreek Hill for that reason. And also he plays for the Chiefs. But anyways, we always talk about video games and bullshit about whatever we want to do. I had a point I was gonna make and it's gone. Anyways, if you like this show, I apologize. It's late. I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep for some odd reason. I don't know why. It's 11 o'clock here. I'm on number 3 of these beers. That's what that is. So it's feeling a little better right now. But if you like this show, please like, follow, subscribe. Wherever you listen to us, that we really would appreciate it. Like I said, thumbs up, shares, subscribes. Shares is the big one. Tell more people about us. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, please, and you like listen to audio podcasts, go over there and give us a subscription and a download. We actually get a little bit of money whenever people download the audio portion of the show. Or just listen to it for, I think, like 30 seconds. So just pop us on for like a minute, just be safe and help us out a little bit there and get a little kickback on the show. So anyways though, thank you guys for listening to us. Gables, it's been an interesting week of news. I wouldn't say we've had like a ton of big news, but we've had the news we do have is kind of meaty.
Yes.
So we're gonna start off here, Gables, with kind of the big news of the week. This is kind of drop this on like a Monday or Tuesday, and usually, if I'm able to, and I see the news, I'll try to like grab an article and I'll put it in our show notes, and that way I don't have to remember to do it later or risk forgetting about it on Saturday night when I go and type out all the show notes. Gables, not once but twice this week, beat me to it. I went to put the show notes in there, go put it in there, and I'm talking like it was minutes after they announced this, already in there. So I'm like, oh boy, Gables got some things to say if he's putting notes in there already. But some stuff going on here with Nintendo. They announced that they are shutting down the Wii U and 3DS eShop. So they got some dates here. So I got some notes here. So May 23rd of this year, it will no longer be possible to add funds with a credit card to the 3DS or I keep wanting to say Wii U eShop. August 29th, you'll no longer be possible to use prepaid shop cards to add funds as well. So basically, if you want to buy anything, you need to put the money onto your account before August 29th. And then in late March of 2023, you'll no longer be able to purchase anything whatsoever. After the eShop shuts down, users will be able to re-download content they already own and download existing software updates. So it's kind of the same thing they did in like 2019 with the Wii and the DS. I
Yes.
guess Bloodworth from Easy Allies put on Twitter that he wanted to see like how long that lasts for, and he says, as of this week, games on like the DS, like the DSi and the Wii, or I guess the Wii, I don't know about the DSi, at least on the Wii, if you bought a game on there, you are still able to download it in 2022. So that's something.
Okay.
Just obviously can't buy anything. This is kind of interesting. There's like a factoid here, like a FAQ page about for a lot of questions and stuff like that for people. And this is one of them. Nintendo initially confirmed that it will only be releasing classic content through the Nintendo Switch Online membership plans going forward, saying we think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players. And then Nintendo currently has no other plans to distribute legacy content in other ways. However, shortly after that went live, about as fast as Gables put this news in in their show notes, they deleted that FAQ page, and they took that down. So
Oh.
yeah, so
I wonder
Gables,
why.
so Gables, we went through a lot of this last year with when PlayStation kind of did the same thing, but like they did it like with like I think it was like 8 months notice or something last year, and then they eventually when they were going to shut down the PS Vita and the PSP and the PS3 stores, they end up after a couple weeks backtracking on that. PSP did ultimately get shut down though.
Not just like backtracking on that, but also in terms of addressing the whole C-bomb situation for the PS3 and like certain aspects of it.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
say, for that, they did go through and issued updates so that way, if those systems, if they can't connect online or something of that sort and stuff, that they would still be able to play the games that require online register, like online
yeah,
connection in order to play, especially some single player games.
yeah. So there is that too. So Gables, I want to know, what are you thinking?
All right, so I'm thinking of a couple different things. One, when it becomes, when it comes to like the online services for the eShop and stuff in general and stuff, I'm actually all right, say with the Wii U in regards to that eShop stuff going through and closing down. I mean, I'm happy that they gave us notice in regards to when they're going to go forth and discontinue a bit of the services and stuff. I mean, the Wii U has been a dead system for quite a long while now. I mean, hell, once the Switch was even announced, like everybody just pretty
Well,
much that was
what it
still
came
there.
out in November 2012, I'd say January 2013 it died. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Only the most hardcore stuck with the Wii U throughout its entire
yeah,
life
and be
cycle.
fair, I was one of those hardcores. I'm the one that I'm one of those people that bought it and played the shit out of it for a long time. But yeah, that thing was. I think I bought mine in May of 2014, and I would say maybe another year after that. Maybe another year after that. It was. I mean, there's a lot of great games in that thing, but we talked about it a lot where they announced that when they announced what was it, the X or DX or whatever, not DX, that's a wrestling stable, NX,
The
uh
NX.
yeah, when they
Yes.
announced that, like they announced that like 2 years before the Switch actually came out. So
Yep.
like
The
that
code
thing was,
name NX.
yeah, it was like into 2015 they announced that thing, so it was very odd. But go on, I'm sorry.
Right. When it comes to like the eShop stuff, the Wii U, I'm perfectly fine with that thing going through and just shutting down. Not a lot of people are on that initial eShop to
Not a lot of
begin
people ever
with and
were.
stuff. Not a lot of people were to begin with. I mean, it's fairly telling and stuff when you go through the online like games that are available and this and that, and the most sought after things are mostly games that are already on other platforms, like say the Switch or the PS4 or Steam or Xbox, where you can easily go through and buy them, download them, and stuff. The ones that are not as easy to go forth and get that some people will try to go and get would be the virtual console games that are for like the Game Boy Advance, the Wii, and like some DS games are actually on that service. So I know for that, there's definitely some people that'll go through. But when it comes to the preservation of a lot of their digital content, especially when it comes to their eShop games, Nintendo really does not have a great way of going through and preserving some of its classic games. Especially when it came to like the Wii stuff the last couple of years ago when they shut down the eShop for the Wii console. there were plenty of games that you cannot go forth and like get anymore anywhere because
Mm.
it was only some of them were only digital only for the Wii system. I mean, I can think of a couple like Lost Winds and like Mobashi's Arcade to be a couple of them. The Rebirth games like Castlevania Rebirth, Contra Rebirth. Oh, not Contra either. No, I think I'm thinking of Gradius Rebirth. But anyway, the point being is these specific games that were released at one point that gamers, looking at them, like say looking at them online, may want to try them, don't have that chance to go forth and do it. But in the entirety of what's going on right now with the 3DS and the Wii U, I mean, yeah, I can understand why they're going through and discontinuing these services because they want to focus on the Switch because of how profitable it is for them, and also in regards they want people to go with a subscription service for their online expansion stuff. Even though the Nintendo does love nickel and diming exactly what type of releases they'll go forth and release in the systems. I mean, bear in mind they most recently added N64 things and charging people $50 for their online service with so emulation for 64 games and other kind of games as well on the service. But when it comes to 3DS, and especially that eShop, I don't understand a lot of why that one is closing so soon after its initial like discontinuation. Because here's the thing, 2020 was when the 3DS was pretty much like discontinued in terms of its manufacturing stuff. There are people that bought like say a 3DS towards the end, like the end of its life cycle and stuff, downloaded some bit of the games, and now the eShop itself is going to be closing like within a year, or even sooner if you can't get points or anything else on your system. But the only way, especially if they when they go forth and discontinue the additional like a credit card or a debit card or something like that on the account, is through like prepaid cards that you may have to redeem on your Switch system in order to try to use some bit on the thing if your account is connected to like the 3DS or the Wii U or that regards. But I don't really understand why they would close down the 3DS one so soon after discontinuing and stuff. I mean, with the Wii U, I mean, I understand fully because it was like from 2017 all the way to 2022. There's like a 5 year span and stuff, and I would argue maybe a 7 year span where the fucking Wii U's eShop thing was not like relevant at all
Yeah,
in that regards.
I think they discontinued it before the Switch even came out, didn't they? Or it was shortly
It,
after the Switch. It wasn't very long. It was around the
mm,
Switch launch. It got discontinued completely.
yes, the Wii U got discontinued pretty close before like the Switch launched, and for good reason. I remember back then the Wii U system itself was still being sold inside of stores, right? And hardly any one of them were moving. They were so terrible in terms of like people wanting to go through and buy them that you literally would have a couple of different stacks at local retailers. But yeah, the main point is I don't really like this move here by Nintendo. I understand why they're doing it, and at the same point I can understand maybe a portion of the reason, the Nintendo Wii U and stuff. That's eShop being shut down. The 3DS, there's still a large bit of games that are available on that service. Where yeah, there are some you can re-download on other platforms, but there are plenty that once that thing disappears, you will no longer be able to play them. Like for example, I can think of a Fire Emblem game like Fire Emblem Revelations, which was a combination of like Birthright and Conquest games that I played back around 2016. Birthright, I think it was. Fire Emblem Birthright for the 3DS, 2016 and stuff. That was part of like a three-part chapter, so like three games altogether, right? Birthright, Conquest, and then if you had that, you could buy Revelations, which was like a digital-only game on the eShop stuff. And the thing about the eShop stuff is Pokemon Bank is definitely tied into that as well.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you have a whole bunch of Pokemon that you either have a whole bunch of shinies or you have a whole bunch of like legendary stuff that you've had for years, get it off the fucking Pokemon Bank if you can, especially if you want to use it for like use
Well,
it for
they
something else.
they did say that it's gonna become a Pokemon Bank will stick around, but they're gonna stop charging for it in May. so that you
Oh,
could still use
oh,
it
that's nice.
from what I can understand. For how long? No, I don't know, but um, yeah, they
I'm
did
gonna
say
stop charging for it in May. Oh
because it
my
was like
god.
$5 a month or something like that. It's not super expensive.
It was like $5 a year.
Oh, was it a year? Okay, so yeah, like in May or whatever, it becomes
I know I
free.
paid that maybe for like 2 years in a row, and I just
Yeah,
stopped.
so that's something. I
But
guess that's something. So
yeah, there's still plenty of stuff on the 3DS's point, in the eShop right there to where that thing. I don't believe that system is ready to be discontinued yet. Well, discontinued in terms of eShop stuff.
yeah,
Pardon me on that regards. But my overall feeling is like I think this is pretty much too soon for the 3DS. I'm fine with the Wii U, and at the same time, I think Nintendo is horrible with their future for like preservation of their own digital content.
yeah, yeah. Man, I'm all right. We're gonna do some shit talking on Nintendo here. It's my favorite segment that I get to do. Once a month or so. It feels like at this point. Um, like I'm not, and like I know, like I semi defended the stuff last year with PlayStation to a certain extent. Um, like I understood, like we get like why you shut down the shop. Like we get it. Like it makes like people were mad about shutting down like the PSP and the Vita, but it's like no, it makes sense. Like these consoles are 15 years old, haven't been relevant in a decade. Like it makes sense to drop them. And we just with the PS3 and Vita, like hey, like it's good, but it's just it's only delayed it.
Mm,
But I will give them props with like I talked about last year when Xbox tried doubling the price of Xbox Live, and then like the same day
mm.
they changed their mind. Like we were wrong.
Yeah, we messed
Um,
up on this one.
yeah, and like we railed them for it, and then they immediately changed their mind. And I said it goes, I was really dumb, but I'll give them some credit. Like I'm very minute, a little bit of credit because my exact words were, PlayStation wouldn't have done that, Nintendo wouldn't have done that. And then I ate my words like a few months later when PlayStation backtracked on that. Um, but I will say with Nintendo, I don't think they will backtrack on this one. And
No, they
honestly, I
won't.
wouldn't be surprised if they have no idea that people were upset. Because that's been an ongoing thing of like Nintendo America's more on the pulse of a good chunk of the gamers, and Japan doesn't really like to listen to Nintendo of America so much. The only
In
time that
terms of communication, yeah, it's usually Nintendo of Japan and stuff
yeah,
that dictates what's going to happen inside other countries in that regards.
Nintendo will listen to the American lawyers before they listen to Nintendo Japan. Um, so um, it's just been an ongoing thing here of like you said, the preservation of their own games. Where I mean, yeah, it's sad that like over 1,000, like I think they said over 1,000 games on the Wii U will be gone, but it's like how many
Not
of
a lot
those
of
are
them that
like
great.
yeah, it's like, but like we bitch about how like shitty like the last like 6-7 years of like these digital stores have gotten where they just let anything go on there. Like there's
Oh yeah, not just that. I mean, it's not as terrible, say, as like with the PS3's online store, to where you literally see repeating tabs and like
yeah.
lack of like maintenance shit. But let me tell you something. When it comes to going on to the Wii U's eShop in modern day 2022, I've done that like over the past couple of weeks and stuff. And the games that have released on there, and yes, there are games that have released
I believe it.
still
Yeah.
on the Wii U's eShop service and stuff, and there are some of them that are like, what the fuck is this game?
Yeah.
I mean, the most notable release on the Wii U's eShop has to do with like the sequel to Retro City Rampage, and that's Shakedown Hawaii.
I
They
want
actually had a release on the 3DS and on the freaking Wii U.
I can't wait to find out what the last Wii U game is, and I really badly want it to be Mother 3. And they put it out the day before they shut it down.
That
But
would
it's
be the biggest FU, and people would be so pissed.
it's after you can
Oh,
add funds to the store. So you can't buy it.
oh
Like
God.
unless you had funds and you waited till the last minute, you can't buy it.
Dude, it's bad that I would fully think Nintendo would pull that type of move and piss the entire amount of
No,
people
that would
off.
they don't even know people care about Mother. 3. So that would require them to figure that out first.
You
Um,
see, if here's the thing, man. It's like if that franchise were on any other platform and stuff, you know that we would have that
yeah,
gamers that we would have gotten Mother 3
it
like
would
in the
have been
states a year
remastered
ago.
4 times by now. We'd be sick of it
Yeah,
after like,
absolutely.
fuck, that's coming to Switch now. Fuck off, dude. Like that's what that it would have been. It would have popped up at a direct and be like, you put it on everything. Stop. We just bitch about it. Was showing up everywhere. It would be like the fucking Skyrim of Japan games. Um,
Hmm.
but anyways, yeah, like that's what my main issue is. Like my main gripe is just like it's, it's like they keep, like you said, they nickel and dime us on their classic games, and people keep doing it. I'm not gonna say we because I don't anymore. Um, but it's just like they've making us with the Switch essentially restart all over again, of slowly building this thing back up for the 4th time, because we did it with the Wii, we did it with
The Wii,
we did
the
it with
3DS,
the 3DS and Wii, because you bought a
the
game
Wii
on
U.
you bought a game on the Wii U, you bought Super Mario World on the Wii U, you had to buy it again on the 3DS, even though you had the
Yeah.
same account, they didn't cross.
Here's the
So
thing: if you bought it on the Wii and stuff on the Wii U, you would still get some form of a discount. And even though
yeah,
you
they
weren't
charge you a
paying
fucking dollar.
$8, some
Yeah,
of them were like $1, some were like $2 in
yeah,
that regards. I mean, I still have games that I had not bought again on the Wii U that are like maybe $1 or two.
yeah,
But I have them on the fucking system because I got the memory card of my Wii and all the Virtual Console games on the fucking same system.
yeah. It's so stupid. Like I don't know. I mean, I always thought that was stupid to charge people to like to literally transfer. You know, I mean, I know it's just a dollar, but it's just the principle of it. But anyways, um, yeah, this is our 4th time starting over. Like I complained a lot. Like they finally put Pokemon Snap on the Wii U the month
Yeah.
before the Switch came out.
Yeah.
We just now got Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings last
Yep.
week, when Nintendo service has been around for 3.5 years. Um,
Exactly. And the
like
fact remains that both of those games were released on the Wii U like around 2015.
yeah, exactly. Um, it's, I just don't understand their tactics. I don't get it, especially now when like it just gets more baffling with time. Where it's like we're restarting over and over again. We're like you're making us rebuy these games over and over again. And
Dude,
I mean, I
you know what I
obviously,
get it to is almost like a Disney Vault startup effect,
yeah,
dude.
but it's like the Disney Vault doesn't work anymore. Like it worked
Oh,
15 years ago when
yeah.
we didn't digital wasn't a thing. Um, when nobody was doing, like, we didn't, streaming wasn't a thing. Like Disney Plus came out, it had fucking everything on it, like
Yep.
right then and there. Like when content is more important now than ever. That's why we see so many mergers. That's why we see Disney buying everything. That's why we see
Yep.
fucking Xbox. Like when we have these big platforms, these big streaming platforms, Paramount Plus buying up whatever they can, paying shit tons of money. Like we have HBO Max paying $50 million a year just to put South Park on their
Yeah.
fucking streaming service. I think Netflix paid almost $100 million a year just to have fucking Seinfeld. It's like
Yep.
just to have content on their platforms. They're over like fucking goddamn Peacock is paying $200 million a year for the WWE network that wasn't even generating $75 million a year when it was its own
Oh,
separate thing. So people are not just people are drastically overpaying for content right now.
yep.
And people, and their consumers are willing to pay money to have these things to pay for it. And it's like they're charging $20 a year to drip feed us these games that they put out on other platforms a decade or more ago, and then
Yep.
again 7-8 years ago, and then again on the 3DS. Well, it's
Yep.
this
Some
is
of us
why
are paying $20 like a year. Some
yeah,
of us are paying $50 a year just to be drip fed the same games that we've bought 3 or 4 times now before.
yeah. And that might, and like I said, like it sucks that these games, like there's a lot of games on there that are gone forever, that are brand new games. But I mean, how many of those games are actually of consequence on the Wii U and 3DS? Not many. It just it
Especially
sucks
on the Wii U.
on the
It's
Wii U.
especially on the Wii U.
The Wii U sucks because like there's so many like great Game Boy Advance games that came on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, and like even on the 3DS, like I played a ton of old Game Boy games on there. Like I'm kicking myself when that news got announced. I was kicking myself pretty much immediately afterwards. But I remember like I gave my ex girlfriend at the time, I gave her nephew. He's like 6. My 3DS XL because I'm like she found it. She's like, "Do you play it?" It was in a box. I'm like, "Not really." She's like, "Can I give it to?" I don't remember his name now. I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." Because he always liked playing Smash Brothers on my Switch. So I'm like, I have all those games downloaded on there. I had a bunch of Pokemon games downloaded, like the old Pokemon trading card games, shit like that on there. Um, and I'm like, here you go, buddy. You can play all these games. I went over like to his house like 4 days later, and the thing was destroyed. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like I'm never gonna be able to like I have to like if I buy a new 3DS or a 2DS, I even with I put my account in there, I can't get those games back without paying for them all over again, which is fucking annoying. I'm pretty sure. Can I re-download them?
I
I don't
think you
think
can re-download
I
them if
just
you're
lost
still
all the
credited to your
saves.
account.
Hmm.
That's the thing. You would have lost all the saves, Tyler, but look at it this way.
I'll have
It's
to
like
Google
you'll
that.
be able to log in with your old Nintendo ID stuff, and it should be credited to your account if you bought all of them digitally.
Yeah, but I mean, we gotta think like Nintendo logic here, so it's fair for me to like I won't be surprised if I can, but I wouldn't be surprised if I couldn't. like, like
Yeah.
I bought a like when I remember I bought a Wii at launch and it got stolen when I was living with some roommates, and like a roommate's friend stole it, and even though like I had an account with them, I lost all those digital virtual console games that I bought. So that's kind of when
Yeah.
I like fuck this. I'm no longer buying games from Nintendo on this anymore. So like, and I was a defender of like when they announced the online Switch thing, where like, hey, like I mean I wasn't a fan of them putting their shitty internet service behind a paywall, but as far as
Yeah.
like this is the best, I think this might be the best option. $20 a year, that ain't nothing. It's a couple bucks a month, and I thought they were gonna like give us a good chunk of games every month and good games that we give a shit like but like every month we talk about these dumbass games that like no one's ever heard of or cares about on here and it's like
That's the thing. This is the same pattern that Nintendo has done now over the past 15 years, and this dates all the way back from the Wii's eShop
the
days, to
Wii
where
wasn't
they'll
bad though. Like
That's
the
the thing. That's the thing. And my point being is like at starting of things, you get like a whole amount of games that are worthwhile and stuff, but eventually there comes a point and stuff where they start drip feeding, and it may
yeah
be like a year, it may be a couple of years after, especially with the Wii's Virtual Console. I mean, that thing when it started off, it had 5 games, and then
yeah
it gradually grew from there, and there wasn't a respectable amount of NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, N64, and even like obscure ones from Neo
TurboGrafx
Geo.
Neo Geo, yeah, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, TurboGrafx is also, but also MS DOS and
Yeah,
stuff, and like freaking like Master System stuff,
yeah,
and like Game Gear
but
stuff.
it's
I
like
think it
back
was
then
at
that
some
like I
points.
that made that in the 2000s that made more sense though. Like this is the first time they're doing it, and yeah, don't overload all the customers at once. Give them spread it out, especially when you're paying individual money for these things. But you
But
know,
what I'm getting at is like once that initial set, the last few years that the Wii was still alive, they were drip feeding virtual console games to the point to where you would see all these freaking obscure shit, and then
yeah,
all of a sudden when the Wii U came out, especially like the 3DS and stuff, they would have some of the more note wild ones that you could go forth and buy and download, but you would still have to wait for drip feeding. With the Switch, it's the worst that I've seen for drip feeding stuff because they have a whole slew of games that they've gone through and signed off of from the beginning in terms of their Switch online stuff or their NES, Super Nintendo, this and that. And yes, the thing that's different now is you don't have a specific day or a specific day of the week like you used to, where
it
you
was
would say, oh,
Monday.
okay, maybe there's like one or two, like a Monday or something
Yeah,
at about 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which that was something I'd look forward to almost every week. Like when I was in college, okay, what virtual console games are releasing this week
yeah,
on the Wii for on the eShop? No, it's either you have to wait like months at a time or wait basically until Nintendo remembers that it has a fucking online service. I
yeah,
mean, that's how it is now. And that's part of the reason why people get so frustrated with the Nintendo Switch's online service with their games. One, their emulation that they've done for these games in and of itself is piss poor sometimes. I mean, hell, we just gone through the past couple of months and stuff with Paper Mario having save issues, the N64 game in and of itself. there's issues, some bits with frame rates. They've, especially when the N64 thing first launched with games like with certain input delays on Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and certain like texture stuff they've had to go forth and update like within the past couple of weeks for this thing in of itself. I mean, granted, I've spent a good amount of time playing games like on the services, like the retro stuff. I didn't encounter a lot of stuff, but this was after the initial patch that went out for N64 expansion, this and that. But the point being is, with the variety of stuff that they're introducing and stuff, it's not going to be nearly as much as we would be akin to justifying having to spend the amount they want us to go forth. Because what Nintendo wants to do, they want to control in regards to what games we're going to be able to play in a specific amount, without having to try to nickel and dime here and there. Though I kind of
Yeah.
wish I had the option to say, hey, I want to play this game. I don't give a shit about Winback. I don't give a shit about like Claymates or
Yeah.
fucking like Bonsai or whatever the hell that game is with Super Nintendo. It's like, God, I'd rather not have to go forth and play a bunch of games that I have no interest in whatsoever for a streaming service, which I've had problems with that with Game Pass too, where it's like there's a lot of great ones and then there's like plenty of shitty ones that I'll probably never
Yeah.
touch
But those are all brand new games for the most part, or like
for the
games that
most
have
part.
been made in the last decade. Um, these games are like 25, 30 years old that have been put on multiple platforms over and over again. And like they made us buy them multiple times over and over again. Like now we're just paying X amount of year to rent them to stream. Like
Yeah.
and like the Wii thing, like at least within like, yeah, they were like, it was a drip feed of stuff, but like after a couple of years, like pretty much any major game on those consoles that you wanted to play on the virtual console were on there.
Hmm.
Like,
Yep.
so they were drip feeding us bullshit because they already gave us pretty much everything we wanted. With the Wii
Yep.
U, they drip feeded us from the beginning, and we still never got everything. Like, there was
No.
like just even from the Nintendo first party shit, we just never got a lot of this shit. And now
No.
it's like,
That's exactly the point,
and
man.
now we're like, we talked about last week with when the direct was last week, where they added Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound, and that was the first time they added an NES or Super NES game since last June. They
Yep.
didn't. They didn't even like. So basically, when they announced the 64th expansion in June, they just stopped adding to the original online service, and then so we went 8 months between them adding new things for this thing that people pay for. I know it's $20, but it's like it's still you're charging customers a fee for this thing, and then you're drip feeding us these 64 games. There's not a lot of them. Just fucking put them out.
Right.
Like you got to pay for a year anyways. It's like, what are you gonna do? Wait till like the 13th month and add, I don't know, fucking what's an important I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck that. There's like 12 games that matter on the fucking thing. Just put them all out. That like that aren't like licensed to hell. Like obviously like a WWF No Mercy or a Madden will never come because of licensing. But like the games of
Yeah.
consequence that can reasonably come to 64, like there's like 12. Just fucking put them out. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you know what? With a system like the N64, there really is like a handful of games that maybe maybe I'm being generous, maybe 25, maybe like 30 games max that really made a difference for the 64
Well, there's
console
only
in
like
general.
60 that came in the goddamn console, so I mean, like it wasn't a lot. But Gables, I want to ask you. I want to ask you a question here. When's
What's
the
up?
last time they added a Sega Genesis game to the expansion?
They've never added a Sega Genesis game to the
Exactly. They
expansion.
never added. They launched it and they just stopped. They just
They
haven't added
basically
anything.
put the best games that they could possibly get for the Genesis at its launch. And if you wanted to get other Genesis games, look no further than buying the collection thing on the eShop in and of
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
And the
Like you're better off just paying. It's cheaper, way cheaper.
notice that most of the games that are on that Sega app, that Sega Genesis, that whole app thing and stuff on the Switch, most of them are games that had not been like released or put on a compilation thing. There are a handful that are on that compilation thing, or you could buy them in other ways. Castlevania Bloodlines and Contra like Hard Corps, you can buy through separate transactions and stuff through their Castlevania and Contra collections respectively on the
Yeah,
eShop.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. Like, if it was a good service and like you just, it doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like in 2022, when everybody's about getting as much content on their services as they can, like this drip feeding thing doesn't make sense. Where it's like the only thing I can think of is like with the 64 thing. It's like, well, you can only pay for a year. You know, you have to buy a year at a time. So it's like, we'll just drip feed you out throughout the year. But okay, cool. What are you gonna do? You know, next year? Like, and that's
I
like
do agree.
when I was thinking about when they announced the Mario Kart expansion thing they're doing, DLC, like I'm like, oh okay, fuck it. I was thinking about maybe I should just get the expansion. Like, no, it's $25 for the DLC, or I could just pay $50 and get the expansion. But I'm like, well, wait a second. So if I got it in March when the first DLC part drops, this thing goes until the end of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to in March I'd have to re up for another $50.
Yeah.
And then the following March, I have to decide: do I want to continue to support this thing to play these things, or do I want to make? I gotta make a decision. So it's like, fuck it. I'll just spend $25 now when it comes out.
That's your best bet.
Yeah, instead of paying $100 to rent it for a year, for 2 years, and
Though
then
it's nice that they have it available on the expansion itself.
Yeah,
What
it's
they
great.
don't tell you is that the whole entirety of the content of the game, you're going to be spending more than the
4 times as
actual.
much to continue to and then when you
At
stop
some
paying for
point,
it, you lose it. So yeah, it's I don't know. If it's worth it for you, it's worth it for you. But it's like, I mean, but this is the reason why they keep doing it, because people like, they just know people will keep paying for it, and it just sucks. Like, just put everything out there.
And that's the thing. A lot of the reason why some gamers have accepted this and stuff like that is because of, one, there's blind nostalgia, and two,
Fanboys.
at the same point, they're gonna keep on playing. They're gonna keep on being suckered in for a lot of this stuff, even knowing that the whole eShops, even though the freaking like the apps in regards to Nintendo's online service is quintessentially like a redheaded stepchild in regards to Game Pass.
I'm right here, Gables. Jesus.
But what I'm saying is, like, there's so much more they could do with the amount of wealth of their library.
God, yeah.
And they could be banking on so much in regards to how they present themselves, but they choose to stick to an archaic way where they have no fucking clue. It feels like they have no clue how to execute in a certain way, because they probably feel like they don't have to because of how successful they're going through. Yeah. It's that same overconfidence that had led them down to the path of the Wii U to begin with.
Yeah, and that's why last week when we were talking about the Direct, like, it's like, oh, they're doing the Wii Sports thing again, huh? You know, I was like, well, we're and you know, it's like, we're, you know, they're raking in the money, so they're gonna keep. I don't know. It's just like, I liked the online service with you know, streaming the games when they first announced it. I thought this is the better, instead of making us pay $5 to $15 a piece for a lot of these games, just put it on there, continue to add it. Like, I understand, like, as you add more content, prices go up. I get that. Like, the streaming services, everything goes up over time. I get that. But that was like my big issue when they jumped up to $50 for the 64. It's like, you've proven nothing to me as far as I can rely on you to continue to add games of value over the time, over 3 years at that point of having these services. Like, you don't add games on a regular basis, and the games you do add, maybe a couple a year of even worth talking about. So if they just came out and they here's all the main games of within reason. I understand licensing issues, shit like that, third party agreements, but it's like, you have so many first party games that you just haven't put out yet. You have a fucking GameCube thing. It's like, people are like, oh, well, then they gotta have this whole they have to have a whole group of people that just focuses. Like, we know for a fact that they just take emulators off the internet and they put them on these services and they charge us for it. So it's like,
exactly.
It's not
they
like
did it with Wii, for fuck's sake. They took emulators that people created on the internet in order to insert to their fucking online subscription, and people didn't know about it until they did a deep dive of the damn thing.
Yeah, and I'm not begrudging them, because they own the fucking game. Like, I'm not begrudging them for it, but it's like, don't tell me they have to sit there and go in and make this thing from the ground up to work for the new consoles. They're literally taking them from the internet. Yeah. I don't know, Gables. It's It's baffling. But that is our shit talking Nintendo corner for the week. We'll be back next week with some more shit talking. But we got to move on
Oh,
because we were almost 40 minutes
okay.
in. But I felt good,
Alrighty.
Gables. I felt good to get off my
Good.
chest.
That did.
So some other news here. It's the game. We spent our whole 400th episode bitching about this game. Cyberpunk 2077, which is a shit talking week. The next topic is more shit talking. But anyways, Cyberpunk 2077 is now out on next shins. They announced like on Monday that they were doing like a stream on Tuesday.
Yep.
Everybody pretty much figured it out, and then like I think like Xbox Brazil or something like that tweeted out
Right.
everything that was gonna happen like 4 hours before the stream, which classic Xbox. So some things that are coming out of it here. So they said there is a free 5-hour trial that you can download and play now. It's only out for like a month, like mid March it's gone. It is at least on PlayStation. I saw PS5. It was on sale for $25. Normally it's $50. I don't know how long that sale is. Maybe it's a week or a couple weeks. I'm not sure. If you do play the trial though, if you buy the game, anything you do will carry over. Same with if you played it on last gen consoles or whatever. It will carry over to that. You can you can move with the cloud over there. But some things they did talk about though is that they completely reworked like the perk system. They balanced out the combat. So a couple of things here is like this is called the 1.5 update is what they're calling it. Thing is though, if you're moving over like a save of a game, they like redistribute all the perk points you had because they totally redid like the skill tree for the game.
Okay.
They took a lot of shit out that just was kind of pointless. They added some new ones in. So basically, if you start over and like you're I don't know say level 20, you get all those skill points back. You gotta redistribute them over. So they did a bunch of updates. They also talk about how like they trying to make they did a lot with making the world feel more alive. The NPCs are actually intelligent. The way people drive, the way car chases happen now, and like you can't like manipulate the game where you can like look and then turn around and look back, and everything's totally different now. Like all the people, all the cars are gone, or make everybody show up, stuff like that. Like totally reworked it. I got my refund on this game when I bought it digitally when it first came out. I only put like 6 hours into it. I remember I talked about where like the game crashed and I lost an hour. Yeah. And I was like, fuck this game. It wasn't even the bugs that were in it because I was playing a PS4. I was playing the PS4 version of my PS5. So like it was buggy, but it wasn't like the worst game I've ever played. Like it wasn't like broken until I got to that point. But like my biggest thing with it was when I was playing, it was like this doesn't feel like didn't live up to the hype kind of thing. Like it's just definitely one of those things where it's just like it coming from Witcher 3 to this game and built up for a whole like the game was announced 8 years before it came out.
Yep.
It just if this game it was like this game felt like a very good 7.5 8 out of 10 game. But it needed a like 11 out of 10 to like live up to the hype. And that was my thing with it was like this game's it's a very good map game, but it's not like this isn't game of the generation material. So I don't know. I mean, I might check it out though, because give it a better chance. Because I do have like I was really pumped for this game when it came out. Like Gables and I have the very same fucking Johnny Silverhand statue. I have mine's back there. You can't really see it. I think Gables.
I know I have mine. That's like right
yep.
back. Right,
Gables got
up.
both of ours with the Johnny Silverhands playing the guitar. I have multiple Funko Pops of also Johnny Silverhands, not including the John Wick ones. So I was very pumped going into this game, and obviously very disappointed when it came out, despite the bugs. It just the game itself, but I might give it a chance. I don't know if I could probably find it. You could probably find it for like used somewhere for pretty cheap. Like, if you don't want to pay the $25 right now, I was thinking about like, do I just buy it for 25 and get around to it when I have time? But I'm probably gonna wait, and I could probably pick it up for physically for cheaper here in a couple months. But I don't know.
You could probably find it cheaper now in physical.
Yeah, but like if I wait a few more months, you know what I mean, and like when I have actual like time to play it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I understand.
But we're gonna talk about here in a little bit about Horizon. So I'm definitely got plenty to play. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to. I'm definitely tempted to give it a shot, and I've heard people were saying it's like it's much better, but like it's finally the game that should have launched. But I'm still hearing that like the last gen versions are still not up to snuff. You know, as far as what should have been. Like those should have probably just been canceled to begin with.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I did see you were playing it on on your PS5. Or at least you popped it back in. After they announced it. So I mean, uh, so you've at least checked because you bought yours physically when it first came out, and you kept your copy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
did.
I'm
I got my
curious.
copy because I was waiting for this exact moment when they went through their whole rigmarole stuff. Because once I played a couple hours of it and I saw how much was going on in terms of the PS4 version, I stopped and uninstalled the game because I wanted to wait until after all the bugs ironed out. And
And
honestly,
you were
it
playing
took.
on PS4 Pro. You didn't have a
I was
PS5
playing
yet.
PS Pro. I didn't even have a PS5 yet, and I wanted to wait until they ironed out a lot of that stuff. But okay, flash forward. That thing with CD Projekt Red, their whole conference, the whole stealth releases for like the whole versions for the PS5, Series X and S. So I decided to pop in my data disk and stuff for Cyberpunk 2077. Was starting to install it, and all of a sudden I see that hey, I'm able to download the PS5 version for free because of this. So I went through and I started downloading that. So I still require my PS4 disc, obviously,
Yeah.
but I could play the PS5 version of Cyberpunk 2077. I have played at least about a good solid hour and a half of it. So the beginning portion of it, up until the thing kind of opens up for you to go explore, like the terrain. I'm just about to go forth and explore like the world and stuff.
Mm,
I'm past the opening cinemat. I'm past the opening mission in that regards.
yeah.
Fun fact: when I went through the training modules and stuff like that, the whole training modules, there was a few points where I saw the soldier T posing.
That's funny. I saw a lot of that was like the big thing that I saw a lot of was a lot of like T posing NPCs when I played the game. I forgot about that. That was like the biggest issue I had was T posing and
It was
like
hilarious because
cars
here
clipping.
I was just doing the whole battle like the battle tutorial stuff, and all of a sudden it's like randomly was trying to do this, like trying to go for a motion. I just see like a random T pose, like, oh no, oh no, this is the PS5 version of this game. You still haven't nailed that correctly.
They say there's a couple more patches coming. But as far as like, like it's not any more broken than like a launch game essentially.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
So,
thing. I haven't had a chance to go full fledged dive into Cyberpunk 2077 because what I plan to do with it right at this moment is once I get access to go do the open worlds, like just explore the whole aspect of that city and stuff. I want to just explore every little thing that I can right there and see if I can encounter like anything else that's not only like game breaking, but I just want to see how stability wise this game is going to go forth and perform with the PS5 because the game looks pretty good. Obviously, it looks a lot better than what initially launched for the PS4. But yeah, that's just the thing. I'm cautiously optimistic. I've seen some little hitches here and there, but I just need to delve into a little bit more. But I know there's another game I had been playing that I have been spending a little bit more time on.
okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway, we can go forward and
Okay. Yeah, so well, it'll be a wait and see. I definitely want to give it a chance. But
oh,
like
I'll
I said,
definitely let you know when I do play a little bit more of it, whether
oh
it's
yeah,
worthwhile.
I want to hear what you have to say. But yeah, like even for me, I still think I might give it a shot because people that were able to play like on high end PCs were talking about, that game was still pretty good.
I was
But
told by like my supervisor in regards to like at my workplace and stuff. Yeah, go ahead and explore the world first though before you go forth and do any more of the missions. Just get all that stuff done and out of the way. I'm like, okay, let's
yeah.
see what happens.
But moving on here to some other news. I didn't know how to put this in the show notes, so I just titled it as EA blames others instead of themselves for Battlefield 2042.
That's
Um,
accurate.
so there was like an internal meeting that happened and some stuff leaked out of it. A lot of like just there was like a 20-minute conversation about basically what we're on with Battlefield 2042. So obviously when this game came out, we heard like a lot of disappointment. They had like their financial meeting and they talk about how like they barely talked about, but it did not live up to its sales goals. Like it was millions of sales below expectations. So in this internal meeting they had last week, they blamed Halo and COVID for the issue. I have some notes here. So some of the things they were talking, Battlefield 2042's problem was the Frostbite engine, which which I would argue, most of EA's problems has been the Frostbite engine, making everybody use it when it's built for first-person shooter games. But anyways, looking at Need for Speed, Burnout, BioWare, everything they put out. Anyways, which had to go under a massive update. This update reportedly sucked up 18 months of development time. All new tech. It was basically a new engine. The report quotes them saying they went back. The Frostbite version they were on was so old they had to go back and update. So it was basically putting the game on a new engine. Also claimed that the surprise launch of Halo Infinite's multiplayer was a turning point, which came a mere 4 days before Battlefield 2042 released on November 19th. Compared to Halo Infinite, Battlefield... I love this quote so much. Compared to Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042 wasn't as polished, so EA reportedly believes players had more favorable view of Halo because Halo was a completed game and Battlefield 2042 was not. Like I said, the game was below expectations. It's so funny because everybody saw this coming. So we talked about when they announced the game was going to have no campaign, no single player campaign, which isn't a big deal because they were never very good to begin with. But the whole point was they wanted to focus entirely on the online. They gave DICE basically free reign to do what they needed to do. Obviously, COVID was an issue for everybody, but in gaming, it was a major issue. A lot of games are still not out yet that probably would have been out already now or a year ago because of that. Like we've heard nothing but issues about games being pushed back years because of COVID. But another thing before I get to my point, the game was supposed to come out in mid-October. It got delayed a month, which when a game gets delayed a month, it usually especially in the holiday time, it's never a good thing. Speaking of our last topic, CyberPunk, that game went gold, meaning the game was completed, was being printed on disc, and then 2 weeks after it went gold, they delayed it 5 weeks. They put it out in December, and then we know how that went. 14 months later, the game's finally done, kind of, sort of. It's finally a launch game. This game got pushed back like 4 weeks, but still had to get it done, and like that was like a bad sign. We talked about when they announced the game was going to be a multiplayer only game and it's going to be a $70 game. My first thing I said was, Gables, what does Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG, Warzone all have in common?
They're free to play.
Exactly. This is a $70 multiplayer game. And I'm like, this game has to go above and beyond and be amazing, better than amazing, to like just even have a chance to compete with these games. And then they also have Halo Infinite coming out at that point. And then you're going to sit there and say, Halo Infinite was coming out 2 weeks later anyways. Call of Duty already came out 2 weeks before you. So you're telling me because the game Halo dropped 4 days before you, that's what fucked you up? The fact that Halo came out 4 days before you and was polished was the issue. Not the fact that your game wasn't polished wasn't the issue. It wasn't the fact that your engine was complete shit and has ruined your company for the last decade. Not I shouldn't say ruined, but it's like we keep hearing nothing but people about publishers bitch about being forced to continue to make games in this engine when nobody wants to. And then we just now, in the last year or two, hearing about how they're letting like BioWare use their old engines and go back to these other engines that they're comfortable with, that they actually are made for, because Frostbite is such a fucking pain in the ass. You blame COVID, which, hey, COVID happened. But you know what everybody else did when COVID hit them? They delayed their fucking game. Oh, Halo stole your thunder? We'll make a better game than Halo then. But delay... everything goes back to Gables on this one. The problem isn't that Halo came out 4 days before you. The problem isn't that Halo was polished. The problem wasn't that the engine was old. Problem is, you release the game when it wasn't ready, so you can get the holiday sales.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already like the new game, like they dropped it and then immediately announced that they delayed a ton of content that was supposed to come out already, and they delayed season 1. Season 1's not even out yet. This game's been out 3 months. Season 1 hasn't even started.
The game's already discounted.
It's already discounted. Yeah. Like, how can you have a game that's been out for 3 months not even start season fucking 1?
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's baffling. It's baffling. This is why, I mean, it explains, like, when we complain about, I don't understand how businesses keep doing it. We just spent like 40 minutes bitching about Nintendo. This is how. This is what happens behind the scenes. But Nintendo is just, they're in Japan. They're not, like, it's not an American-based company. So we don't hear a lot of behind the scenes shit so much. Very little leaks from them internally. So I don't know. Maybe Nintendo is as dumb as EA when it comes to certain things. I don't know. But, I mean, Battlefield is their biggest IP they have at this point.
Yeah.
And they've fucked up the last 2. Battlefield 5, which blew my mind when I realized Battlefield 5 was a thing. Like,
yeah.
I got a pretty decent memory about video games, Gables. And when I found out...
I don't remember that game.
Exactly. I had to look it up. It's a World War II game. I had no idea. That happened. I thought Battlefield 1 was the last one. No, there's a whole Battlefield 5 that came out and it was trash. And then they did it again. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's baffling. It's so, I'm baffled that this is what they came to, was Halo Infinite was polished and our game wasn't. They're not blaming themselves for releasing it early. They're blaming the fact that Halo came out finished. That's the problem, Gables. It's not that their game was broken and buggy and not done yet. It's that the people that put games out around them were done and good. I'm done with ranting. Do you have anything to add to this, Gables?
No, because the stupidity speaks for itself.
Yeah. It's, oh God, I feel like I could just keep going on for an hour. Like, I read the comments and I lost my fucking mind when I read the comments, when I initially read the article, and then I read it again, Gables, and I've lost my mind again. I don't know how to continue the show. Like, why should I just put it at the end and end of the show? My God. But we got to continue. Oh boy. All right, we got to move on, because I'm going to take up another 40 minutes bitching about EA, and I don't want to do that. So Gables, I want to do a little quick Fantasy Critic update here. Let me switch over. Okay. For our video listeners, guys, you can actually look at the screen right now if you're on YouTube, and you can see our Fantasy Critic page. If you want to, go to fantasycritic.game rather. Look up DrunkNerds podcast, Drunk-Nerds podcast, and you will find ours. And you can follow it. It's open for everybody to look at. So I want to do a little update here. So there I am with Bismarcky Games at 80 points right now with 7 games released. Gables Suplex Monkey Games at 35 points right now with 3 games released. We do have some games coming out here next week. Like I said, I say this every week. This is going to be like a weekly thing, but as long as games keep, big games coming out right now, so we're going to keep kind of talking about it, but make it short and sweet as much as I can. So so audio listeners, like with Destiny 2, Witch Queen, it's coming out next Friday. Or no, that's Tuesday.
I think it's going to be Tuesday, actually.
It is Tuesday, the 22nd. Yep. Are you going to buy that, Gables? He's going to buy it.
I'm waiting on reviews for that.
He's buying it.
I'm waiting for reviews. And plus, Elden Ring releases later that week.
He's buying it. The first time you go online and you see your friends playing it, you're going to buy it. But I drafted that game just to get under Gable's skin. I hope it gets like a 99.
That'd be hilarious, actually.
Yeah. And then it won't let you buy it. That's why I want to happen. Gables also has next week Elden Ring on Friday. The reviews drop on Wednesday for that one. So then we got some other games coming out. We got a bunch of games coming out next month. We got 8 games coming out in the month of March. 5 are mine, 3 are yours. So big month going on here. Some other updates here. So I had a couple games come out this week. Horizon Forbidden West is set at 89, so I got 19 points for that one. Pokemon Arceus dropped a point, which is really annoying. I was bitching about to Gables before the show about how it's kind of annoying that like weeks after the games come out, the points are still changing, and it's like it's always going down. It's never going up. Like Dying Light 2 lost another point. I gambled on Total Warhammer 3, Gables.
Yeah, and you end up swinging and hitting a good one.
Yeah. Because I remember I looked it up. I'm like, I don't know what this game is. I went and looked up Total Warhammer 2 and it did like an 86. And I'm like, I don't know what this game is, Gables, but I'm going to draft it anyways. And I did. And I got 88. I got 18 points on it. King of Fighters 15 for Gables. Got an 83. So he's at 13 points right now. Like he said last week, he took the first L with Mario Kart. He's got a 0 on that one. But I'm not feeling as good about my Last of Us remake pick because the TV show got delayed to 2023. So I have a feeling that it's not going to happen this year. So that's a little Fantasy Critic update for everybody. So yeah, but back to the show. We got a little bit. We'll make these super quick. Capcom, there's a Capcom clock going on right now that's supposed to end Sunday night, Monday morning. A lot of people were freaking out because they thought it was Resident Evil, like maybe it's Resident Evil 8 DLC or maybe Resident Evil 4 being announced because it looks like Resident Evil kind of font shit going on. But then people quickly figured out, no, it's actually there is a Capcom Cup going on right now, and
there was supposed to be a Capcom Cup for like Street Fighter and stuff supposed to be going on, but until that one was canceled in that regards. But around the same time frame, there was supposed to be some sort of supposed Street Fighter 6 news, but I'm not holding my breath for that. At the same point, it's like the initial thing where it could be nearly anything. It could be Resident Evil related. It could be Street Fighter related, but it could also be related. If it was, I mean, hell, there are rumors of a whole Resident Evil 4 remake that we've been hearing bits.
It's supposed to be announced sometime this year, so I think it'll be announced at a PlayStation event this year. Was my guess for Resident Evil 4. I don't think they're gonna do a clock thing. I'm part of me is like hoping like they announce they're doing Resident Evil 8 DLC, so that'd be awesome. But selfishly, I want it to be Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil news. I have a feeling it's been the Street Fighter news. But I mean, it's been 7 years since there's been a Street Fighter game, and this is the 25th anniversary this year, so it makes sense. Dragon Age 4 is at least 18 months away, according to Jeff Grubb. Now it's on pace for late 2023. It sounds like
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that they announced that game 5 years ago, and we're still at this point. But 4 years ago. So, but it's I don't know. We're in a different time now, especially when games get announced essentially before they even have Metroid Prime 4 was announced before they even had a studio in place.
That's the thing, man. It's like that game should have never been announced when it was because that. Well, EA was a long wait, dude.
Yeah. Well, EA was always really bad, especially in that time frame where they would announce games the second they put them in development, they would announce it years, 4 or 5 years in advance. But now we hear about that all the time. Like I just said, Metroid Prime 4 was announced before they even had a studio to make the game.
It's the one thing that I like about Nintendo. For some reasons, when they do announcements, it's normally on some of the announcements, it's going to be at least in the next few months. Sometimes,
yeah, we're seeing that more and more. It's been a mixed bag of things where it's we're seeing a lot of shorter things, but we're seeing a lot of the gap is the games are 2 years out, don't happen very often anymore. It's either the game's coming out this year or it's coming out 4 years from now, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we hear about that a lot now, especially when game developers there's a work shortage everywhere, and so a lot of people are announcing their games super duper early because it's a commercial to get people to go apply and work for them. So that's just kind of where we're at now. So that's why we're getting we're seeing a lot of that probably more now than ever before is because they're just hey, we're making this awesome game. Maybe you love this IP. Right? You want to make this game, come work for us. And so I get that tactic. That's a smart tactic. So yeah, but Gables, moving on here to some what we've been playing this week. You said you were playing something else this week. Let me hear about it.
All right, so I'm going to talk about a little quick story. I went to Walmart last Sunday, and I decided, let's look around and see if I can find like it's something game related and stuff. And so I find a game on the end cap, right? I go to pay for it, and quintessentially, it's like I could not buy it because it said it was not for sale. That struck me as strange because, for one, it's like when it comes to certain games, especially if they're like, say, inside a protective casing on an end cap, and they're not like a new release that's like barred by embargo or any type of stuff, then for a retailer like Walmart, they would at least allow you to go forth and buy the game. And that game was like going to be Dark Souls. It was like Dark Souls remastered for the PS4. It was like maybe 15, $20 max. And I ended up leaving that damn store and stuff because they would not allow me to buy that game because I guess it was not in their system or something. I'm guessing this point. But at that point, I just decided after that, I'm like, I'm not buying any more fucking games at Walmart. So I went on to Amazon and I looked, and there was a game on sale for the Switch, and so I bought it. And what's kind of hilarious is like I bought something. My mom ended up buying like something as well in regards to some kitchen related, and Amazon actually shipped the next day. And
Nice.
bar none and stuff, we got it the next day. Right? I don't have Amazon Prime, but yet they, I don't know what it was and stuff, but I think they were trying to make up from the last couple of different like deliveries, since some of them were not. They
You didn't
were
want
like
that.
pretty
You
much
didn't want that
delayed.
bra. That you didn't order that bra,
That
Gables.
wasn't a bra, actually. That was actually some tank tops and stuff.
Oh,
But I
tank
think I
tops.
actually,
Tank tops. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, I thought it was because of the packaging of it, but no, they were actually like women's tank tops and stuff. So I'm like, got rid of that stuff.
It's in his closet.
But no, what's hilarious and stuff. I had a chance to play and try out Splatoon 2 because that game was on sale on
Nice.
Amazon for about $40. And I thought, oh, okay, that's great because inside of other retailers are like either 50 or 60. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. I really want to play Splatoon 2. I've had an interest in wanting to play it. So I even spoke about it a little bit last week, I think, with Tyler after the show, where it's like, God, I feel like I want to play a little bit of Splatoon 2. And it's like, I finally get it and stuff. And I started tinkering around with it. It's like I played some bit of the single player portions. I have played a fair amount. I think I've played like around 30 matches of like online in terms of the multiplayer. I've played maybe a couple, maybe like one or two rounds, like the salmon run stuff, and I'm liking a lot of what I've been playing, especially when it comes to the overall team stuff. Kind of like how the original Splatoon had its own like set stuff for set amount of courses that interchanged. So really, when you're playing Splatoon 2 online, it's kind of the same thing where it interchanges like maps like daily and stuff. So you'll have like two main maps that you go for regular or two main maps you do for ranked, and it just interswitches. And yeah, I will say though, I mean, I had a lot of fun like starting off and stuff where I hadn't played Splatoon 2 since I finished the original on the Wii
Hmm.
U like a while ago at this point. I'd say like 2019, 2018. And then I played that, and the first matchup I ended up getting, I got like over, God, what was it, like over 1,000 points in
Nice.
regards to online stuff. Because whenever they go forth and they, when you win, you gain like about 1,000 or something, like 1,000 points on top of what you got through. I played about 30 matches. I mean, there have been some times where I've had people on my team actually drop,
That's
like,
yeah.
drop in the middle of the match or something like that, or our opponent drop in the middle of the match, and all of a sudden you're just completely overwhelmed and stuff.
Yeah.
It's literally like maybe 4-on-2 or 4-on-3. But there was like one match where I actually got like over 2,000 like points inside of one because I had initially decided to try a little bit like a little bit of tactic stuff to where, okay, let's see if I can go through and not focus upon covering everything in the bottom half of the map starting off with. Let's see what happens if I just go and just routinely just try to just cover as much ink on specific portions while I'm going around and doing this and that. So it's to at least get a leg up and try to prevent the other team from initially just like getting a particular portion of the map as their territory and just anchoring down on that one point. But what I'm loving about Splatoon 2 so far is the amount of variety in terms of the weapons and the equipment stuff that you can go through and like equipped your Inkling with. And what's kind of funny about that is like each article of clothing, the shoes, the hats and stuff, they each represent some form of an ability that you could lend to your inkling and stuff in order to perform like specific tasks or kind of buffs and stuff from when you've played multiplayer. Like one of the better ones is like when you've like increased like run speed and stuff for your inkling, in not in squid form, but like in regular form and stuff, how fast you can go
Kid
around
form.
and do this and do that. Yeah. But I like the aspects to where you can invest in specific ability, like you could actually invest in certain like items, and you can gradually learn like randomly like an RNG sort of thing. Like some things will be added on top once you level up, or once you play enough of a match type and stuff. But yeah, I think out of the 30 games, I think I've won like I think my teams have ended up winning like maybe 7, maybe 8
Hmm.
of that stuff. Where some weren't close, some were pretty fun. But I'll
It's a
say this
hardcore
though.
now. So
It's definitely a hardcore scene in regards to I didn't do any rank stuff. I'm not even leveled up to the extent where I'm on ranked. I'm in like regular battles and stuff. I think I'm at level 7 at most. Level 10 unlocks the rank stuff. I may try maybe a match or two of rank, but I'm not really going to hold my breath because I'm not looking at being the best of the best for the online stuff. I'm having a fucking blast playing Splatoon 2's online because it's like that sort of chill sort of first like shooter type of like thing where I'm just focusing upon just covering the map and stuff. If I get a bunch of territory stuff covered and stuff, that's fine. But I'm not really intent of like just getting all these freaking major deaths or major like wins in that regard. So it's pretty much been like a chill game where I've been playing in my bed and stuff. So I have my Switch system and I'm using like I'm literally just playing online stuff while like just laying down on my bed and stuff and just playing a couple matches of this and that and just really having like a chill time. But I'm pretty much preparing myself for Splatoon 3 when that releases in the summer.
hmm.
But as for the single player, I have gone through the first portion, like the first main like area of Splatoon 2. I have completed a couple of levels into the second, but I want to go through the levels of the first area again to get the pages of the book and also the I think they're like salmon hooks or something like that, or like fish hooks or something through each stage. Because you could use some of those salmon hooks as well as salmon eggs you collect in the levels in order to increase the strength. That just increase certain abilities of your inkling. You know, Agent 4 as what he's referred to and stuff. Him or her gets referred to, and you can improve like ink. You can improve like specific like amount of power inside your weapons and this and that and stuff. But yeah, I've been having a pretty fun time finally getting to play Splatoon 2,
Good.
even though it's been close to like a Switch's launch game. And I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of disappointed that I didn't invest in just play that game sooner because it's that time where I felt like, hey, I just want to burn through something until like the next major game and stuff. I mean, I know I can't afford to really play Horizon right now because I still want to finish the original one before I even touch the sequel. But
Just pop it on easy, run through it, Gables.
yeah, I
Or
understand.
honestly, you could probably just go on YouTube, watch a recap video. You'd be good to go. Um, I did talk to. I got a message from Justin. He listened to our podcast last week, and me
Yeah.
bitching about the music from Splatoon 3 in the direct last week. He was not happy about my critique of it. Um, I described it as it sounds like Louis Armstrong playing the trumpet while passing a kidney stone, and that's the best example I can come up with. That music's terrible, and everybody should be ashamed of themselves for defending it. Uh,
I said kidney stone through his trumpet.
Not through his trumpet. He's playing the trumpet while passing a kidney stone. But honestly, that might be a better analogy. It would make a lot more sense. But moving on, Gables.
Oh,
So you mentioned it. I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. It
yes.
is the sequel to my game of the year from 2017.
Yes.
Um, I would. It's 6 games better than Breath of the Wild from 2017. Uh, it's gotta find. I was gotta find a way to take a shot at Breath of the Wild. Um, I'm gonna start calling it Breath of the Mid because it's mid. Anyways, moving on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna do this all show. I'll do it next show, not the rest of the show though. But anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been playing more of it. About 11 hours in, Gables. So I've been playing a decent chunk of it. I basically only had like 24 hours to really play it. So I spent 11 of it basically playing this. Just to give you a pretty good idea where I'm at on this game right now, as far as enjoying it. Level 14 with Aloy. So a lot of it, like, like I said, like watch a YouTube video, because like they kind of just go in. It's 6 months after the end of Zero Dawn. Spoiler: Aloy survives. But like they just kind of pick up, and they don't, like, they give you like a recap video at the beginning, and it kind of goes over like the major twists in the game, of explains what happened, why we are where we are. Like it's like, I think it's like the 3200s or something right now. Like what happened, 1,000 years ago to cause the world to be in the shape it's in. Obviously she's going west. I think in the first game you're like mostly in like Utah or something like that, and this
or some of that sort.
And
west of San Francisco and some shit.
Yeah, like you're like, I've heard there's some other shit too. There's a town, I don't know what it is, but I heard there's a pretty interesting town that you can stumble upon, that once you get there you'll know what it is. But it's a pretty fucking awesome surprise when you get there. That's like a real life town. Once you'll know what town it is when you get there, and you'll know what, like, I've heard from multiple people say this on Twitter and podcasts about. It's later in the game that you'll stumble upon it, and it's incredible when you get there. So I can't wait to get there. But anyways, so this one, it looks like it's mostly taking place in like Gables said, San Francisco, stuff like that. I don't think I've got to San Francisco yet. I'm still like, I'm still early on. I've mostly just fucked around and just doing side stuff, and just like, you just get caught in that loop of like, all right, I'm on this quest. I'm on this quest. Oh, there's some machines over there. I'm gonna go fight these guys. I did try to fight a Thunderjaw, which is like the big, huge motherfucker that's like on the cover of the game. At least the first game. He's like one of the toughest enemies in the game. The machines. Whoop my fucking ass, Gables. My one shot knocked me the fuck out. I got like half his health down. But my God, Gables, it was like 10 minutes to get like, I knew I was under leveled, but I'm like, I gotta try anyways. And he fucked me up. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna move on. So I'm gonna come back for him though, because I will say this: I replayed the game in January. But I did New Game Plus, so I got to keep all my gear and my level and all that.
Yes.
And they do scale a little bit to like, you're not starting off like fighting level 1 enemies when you're like level 50 something. But like even still, like it was like I'm one-shotting a lot of guys. So it's kind of fucked me up in this one, where it's like, I gotta totally I can't just go in like wreck shop here. Like I gotta actually use strategy here, where it's like I'm not one-shotting people anymore. So it's like I'm basically beginner again. And they've added some new weapons, like a javelin that I found. Like I did like a side quest, like a javelin, so you can fucking huck that thing, and then it doesn't do a lot of damage. But if you hit the enemy, it sticks into them and then it explodes. That's fucking awesome. They've added some they have a lot of new familiar weapons. They've added some new different abilities, stuff like that. That like they have before they had like a frozen one that like, and you hit them, like it does like ice damage to them. But what it does is it makes it easier to break components off from what you need to like for resources. And this one is really doubled down on like that, as far as like breaking off components off of the machines, because you like they've really done a lot more. Like you have like a workbench you have to go to like upgrade your individual weapons and outfits, stuff like that. So like they've really made it more important. Like before, like the last game, you really didn't have to even really worry about that as much. Like it was definitely a thing, but it wasn't that big a deal. Where now it's like you have to do that. They've had a lot more enemies as well. Where like there's a fucking kangaroo one, and he will whoop your fucking like. And he has like kind of like the pouch, but instead it's like this thing that shoots out like an electric shock thing. Like it's like but it wheels it back like a fucking yo-yo, but it's like almost like an umbilical cord. He just fucking chucks at you, does like the big huge like area of effect damage of electric shock. Those things will fuck you up, Gables. They will fuck you up. I've only died the one against the Thunderjaw, but my God. It's tough. It's fun. I love running into some of the new enemies, some of the old enemies. Found a Stormbird. and I'm like, it's like the big, huge, fucking flying goddamn thing. The thing's like a goddamn I don't know, tower, and they were a bitch when I did New Game Plus at like almost max level. They were a bitch to kill. I'm like level 8, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna run. I don't want to fuck with this guy yet. But yeah, I'm having a blast just going back into this world. The combat is so good. Like it's just, like it's a map game for sure. Like you would like a Ghost of Tsushima or like the Ubisoft map games. But the big key difference between like Ghost in this game and like compare it to like Ubisoft and other map games where it's like even like last year I was playing Far Cry 6 and I got like 6 hours into it. I'm like, I'm just not feeling this game. Like maybe I just don't like map games and stuff anymore. But it's like, no, the issue with like a lot of Ubisoft games is like playing the game isn't very fun. Like the combat isn't very fun. That's the huge crux of the game where it's like Ghost, Shima, and like Horizon are like the combat is just fun to do. It's like I want to go take down these camps. I want to go like there's a bunch of fucking machines over there. I want to go fight these fuckers. And I want to go grind for experience points or go grind for levels where it's like, I play like 6 hours, like I said, to Far Cry 6, and I was like 3-4 hours in. I'm like, I'm just not having fun because it's like this is just a mediocre first-person shooter game. With just like a million things to do in this map, and it's overwhelming, and I don't like it. And this is not. And the story is also fantastic. Like, the story. It starts off a little bit slow the first couple hours, but it's it's kind of typical for a lot of games. But it's like I just want to get in that fucking world because I just want like the combat's so good. I want to go out and fight some fucking machines. And like I just beat the game I beat the first one last month, so I'm pretty sure I got it down already. But once it gets going, there was a point where, and I was like, man, I'm liking this game, but I'm not loving it. And I'll say this for people. I fucked around a lot, especially a lot more in like the first like 6-7 hours of like I was just wandering around, just fighting machines and I did all the side quests in this area before I moved on to like the first big like scene of the setting up the story. I would say for people like starting off, just mainline it. The first it's like the embassy is like one of the that's not really a spoiler. That's just what it's called. The mission. Do that mission. You'll get the glider, and then it opens. It just and then start fucking around a little bit more. Because once you get there, like it totally like I was a hype as fuck moment for me. I'm like, oh, let's fucking go. This like the whole like the cutscene, the fight, all the shit, and like everything after that. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And like it opens up a lot more shit. Like because in the beginning, like until you do this mission, you can't like go to the merchants, you can't buy anything, you can't sell anything, you can't upgrade anything. So once I got that and I was able to do this, I'm like, oh, I should have just done this like 4 hours ago. Because you can probably get to that point like 3.5 hours in, and I was like 7.5 hours in. So like once you get there, it's way better. I'm only like 11 hours in, which is a decent chunk of time, but I've barely cracked the surface. I think I'm only on like the 4th story mission, and I just keep I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this mission, and I'm like, what's that over there? I'm gonna go explore something. But it's like I just love walking around this world. I just love like there's been several games like post-apocalyptic, like with zombies or like Fallout and shit like that, where it's like it's kind of recent, like apocalypse, or currently like we're still early days of the apocalypse. So like even like I talked about this going into the first game, where it's like I love this idea of like it's been 1,000 years since the apocalypse happened. And like the mystery of it was awesome, but it's also like I just love this idea. It's like I love like these people don't actually know what happened. Like everything that happened, like they don't know what happened during our time. Like nobody understands it. Like it's just like, incredible. Like I love like the first game where it's just like they like worship these fucking like AI. Like they worship Spotify or like not Spotify, like what's Google Home or what's the fucking Amazon Alexa. Yeah, I said it and I didn't want to make sure mine didn't hear me. But like shit like that, like they worship these things as gods because they don't understand them, kind of things. And it's incredible. I love this idea of like it sounds stupid, but it's like if this shit ever happened, like this is what would happen. Like it's about going into these mines and it's a fucking tunnel. It's like a tunnel people drove down. And it's like you can kind of sort of recognize what these tunnels are. And like are you like you go through like these old like abandoned ruins, and it's a city block that's kind of like half. It's like barely standing. I just love this idea and this idea of this world where it's like no other game has ever done anything like this. I've it's like the closest is like a Metro maybe, and like Metro even is like 20 years later. But it's like they all live in tunnels. I mean, I love those games too. But it's like I just love the setup. I love the Aloy is awesome as usual. Some of the issues is like I said, they kind of like just throw you into like the den with like the characters, like the side things,
Right.
like your side characters in the game, and they're very good too. But the problem is like when I mainline the game, like so in the final battle of the first game, there's only side quests you can do, and you can like if you do a bunch of these side quests for these people, they will help you in the final battle. And I did a lot of that in the first time I beat it, but a new game plus, I just mainlined the game. So I only met like 2 of those characters. And I bumped into like 8 of them. And I'm like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Aloy, where you been? And it's like, I know you're an important character from the first game, but I beat this game like 5 years ago, and I don't remember who the fuck you are. So like I've had a lot of that going on where I'm like, I remember you vaguely, but I don't remember who you are or what importance you had to the first game. So yeah, I've been having a blast so far. I'm hooked into it again. I just want to keep playing it. I just don't want to stop playing it. So it was tough to put down to do this podcast because I set an alarm, Gables, to hop on Discord. Because I'm like, if I don't, I'm gonna forget, and I'm gonna look down, I'm like, oh shit, I was supposed to be on Discord like an hour ago. So yeah, but I'm loving it. It's good. It's probably gonna take me a little bit to beat, so I'll kind of give up some updates here and there for the next couple weeks, and then kind of give my final thoughts then. But I mean, it's my game of the year 2017. And it's gonna be hard to top this game in 2022. So yeah. But that's all I've been playing, Gables. Oh, I did beat Uncharted 4.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I beat that on Monday. That game is incredible, Gables. I totally forgot the epilogue of the game. I don't want to spoil it for people because a lot of people are playing right now for the first time. But that epilogue, I cried all over again. And I had like a 24-hour like depression state where like when you finish a really good TV show, like the series is over, and there's like that like what's the point of life feeling for a little bit. Because you're just sad because you'll never be able to experience those characters again. And it's even more depressing now because it's been 6 years since that game. And it's like, we might honestly, this is probably it for that. Like, as far like we might get some games like that fill in some gaps, but like this is probably it for these characters. And it was, I forgot how,
treatment.
Yeah. Oh man, that game's incredible. So yeah, it was my number 2 game of the year. It was your number 1. It was our overall game of the year for 2016. Yes, man, I cried a good chunk of times in that game. Like not cried, but like eyes welled up kind of thing. But that the last like hour got me for sure. I was a fucking mess. I was a woman on her period watching the Hallmark Channel during that, or just me watching Animal Planet and a cute dog pops up on the screen. That's me as well. I cry a lot, Gables. Sometimes good, mostly bad. But anyways, that's it for the show this week. If you liked all of that, please like, follow, subscribe, wherever it is you listen to us at. Please click all the things on those things to like us and share us and know us about us and knows when we get updates. Please do all that. Bells, 5 stars, reviews, shares, whatever you can do. We really appreciate it. We're everywhere: iTunes, Google, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch. If you can think of it, we're on it. Pornhub, maybe I don't know. We could be. I should put us on there. We'll probably do a lot better. Don't look, Gables. You've always wanted to be a Pornhub. Who doesn't? But anyways, you want to show your dick for a little bit. Anyways, I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play some fun games. Most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yeah.
What about OnlyFans?
No.
Bye, guys.
Oh, no. See ya.
I tried.